Today, I will share some tips on how to structure an argumentative essay. Argumentative essays are the most common type of essay that you will be asked to write during university. In such essays, you are required to take a stance on an issue. You must use facts and evidence to support your argument. The purpose of this essay is to convince the reader to agree with your point of view. Before writing any essay, you must spend a significant amount of time on researching the topic. This will make you familiar with the key arguments, and then you can decide what position you intend to take in your essay. It is your aim to convince the reader to agree with your position by presenting the relevant evidence. For the purposes of this video, we will look at this question. The contract holding theory has made the law governing gifts to non-charitable unincorporated associations both consistent and sound. Now, just a disclaimer, you don't need any background knowledge on this topic for this video, as we are just focusing on the structure. If I got this question during my GCSEs or A-levels, I would have used a very basic structure, which you should definitely avoid using. I will briefly discuss the structure and discuss why you will struggle to write a first-class essay using it. The planning stage of my essay structure would have looked something like this. So I would just look at the question and list all the arguments which agree with the statement and the arguments that disagree with the statement. I would then see which side sounds more convincing and form my conclusion on that basis. Overall, my essay structure would look like this. In the introduction, I would state which side my essay will support. I will then include a paragraph of all the arguments that support this statement, followed by the paragraph with arguments which are against this statement. And finally, in the conclusion, I would include a brief justification on which side sounds more convincing. Now, there are several things that are wrong with this structure that can negatively impact your grade at university level. As you are listing so many facts and evidence, your main argument will not be very clear. Again, as you're focusing on so many issues, your essay will lack analysis. And even if you state your main arguments in the introduction, it will still not sound convincing, as the reader will be reading two conflicting chunks of information. Now let's look at what an ideal structure should look like. Again, let's consider the same question. Now, when I'm doing my research, I will carefully look for the problems that existed before this theory and then analyze whether these problems have been solved. Now imagine you have read around this topic and came to the conclusion that this theory has not made the law sound and consistent. You could argue that it has helped to some extent, but we should probably not go as far as saying that it has solved all of the problems. And this is going to be your main argument, and it should come across clearly throughout your entire essay. Now, this is what the planning stage of your essay should look like. I would advise you to divide the arguments in your essay into 3 chunks. For this essay, I have divided them according to the problems that existed before the contract holding theory. For example, firstly, I will evaluate whether the problem of private purpose trusts infringing the beneficiary principle has been solved. Under this, I will include facts and evidence that show the problem is solved to some extent, and then I will include arguments that clearly discuss the gaps that still exist. And then you can include a mini conclusion at the end which clearly supports your main argument. I will do the same for problem 2, which considers whether the wishes of the settler are protected, and for problem 3 as well, which focuses on whether the theory offers an appropriate method for determining the distribution of assets. And this is what my structure would look like. So here I focused on dividing the body of my essay into 3 chunks to see whether the contract holding theory is ideal. By focusing on only three issues, I am able to really go deeper with the analysis and make sure that my main argument sounds convincing. You can use the similar technique for all sorts of essays. You can divide the chunks in a chronological order. They can focus on case law or other scholarly debates. It will entirely depend on the essay question. And yeah, that's all for today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will be back again with another video.